Welcome back, everybody.
Oh, were you waiting for me?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. Yeah, welcome back, everybody, to the Carriage podcast, and
Are we going to leave that in?
maybe.
Yeah. All right. Yes.
We're a little rusty. Well, I don't know if we were ever not rusty, but
Yeah. It's
we recorded a podcast, I don't know, at the end of November, and I haven't even touched it yet on the editing, so I don't know if it was good or not, and we'll see if we actually upload that. So, well, I don't even know what we talked about. We talked about our speculations for PSX, which were embarrassingly bad.
I don't even remember what they were.
I don't
Did
know.
we say anything outlandish? I think we were playing it pretty low key, which is
Well,
pretty much what it was.
yeah. So, I mean, in that time, and this was even a while back for us, even longer back for you all. But yeah, I mean, PSX happened. The Game Awards happened. Jeff Keighley cried giving a speech to Kojima happened.
Yeah. It felt like a very private moment that we were intruding on.
Mm-hmm. It felt weird.
It did.
But,
Yeah, good for him. But like just breaking news
hot off the press
as of last night for us, not for you.
for us in the U.S.
And
I guess,
you listening on the podcast
yeah.
whenever the hell we upload this. Something that's very near and dear to my heart.
Dragon Quest?
Dragon Quest 11. More info, more footage, and a 2017 release date.
Which, very confident that is going to hit. That's going to make 2017, obviously, Joe.
Yeah, Jacob is being sarcastic and is referring to how rough and unfinished the footage looks.
Of the PS4 version, at least.
Of the PS4 version specifically. And the thing is, I think it looks beautiful, but they're not showing anything that you wouldn't show in a tech demo. They're not showing a game, they're showing assets. And that has Jacob and I concerned, borderline sure that that's not making 2017. But cross your fingers. And yeah.
And the 3DS version, which also had kind of a gameplay demo thing, it looks further along. I'm not a big fan of so on the top screen of the 3DS is like the 3D version that kind of looks like Dragon Quest 9, Dragon Quest 7 remake. And then the bottom screen is this 2D sprites, supposed to be evocative of old school Dragon Quest.
It looks like a Super Nintendo Dragon Quest. Or a Super Famicom.
Well, to me, it looks like a phone game, like aesthetically.
Ooh.
It looks bad to me. I think both screens actually kind of look like a phone game. But.
Well, I think what's throwing you off is that when you're controlling the top screen with the joystick, is that the bottom screen, the little guide to keep up, is like sliding around on the screen to keep up with the movements of. Whereas if you're controlling it with the direction pad, the movement for the sprites are more authentic to how 2D Dragon Quest works. I think is what's making it look cheap and phone game.
To me, it looked also. I mean, it further insult. It looked like an RPG Maker game. On the bottom screen.
Oh, okay, I can see it, but RPG Maker is made to look like Dragon Quest.
Like a cheap mobile version of Dragon Quest.
Yeah.
I don't want to be so hard on it, but
I'm still very excited.
My guess, and I mean this guess is founded really in nothing but just cynicism. I kind of doubt that the 3DS version will ever come to North America. I don't think it'll probably be translated and come to the US.
Okay, I think if it comes out in 2017 in the US, there's a much better chance of it coming out on 3DS. Because 3DS is still an important piece of hardware. But 2018 is going to be pushing it for how relevant that piece of hardware is. And I think you're right.
Yeah, I just can't see... Like, I mean, look at how long it took for the 7 remake to come out here, or even Dragon Quest Builders. And I know Dragon Quest 11 is, I guess, a bigger deal maybe than those, but I just think Dragon Quest seems like one of those series that it just struggled so much getting translated and coming to the US already that I can't imagine that changing with this 3DS game.
Well, okay. The 3DS, you're right, I think would struggle, but I think the PS4 version
I think so, yeah.
is specifically being made for Western audiences.
Horse mechanics.
Yeah, they're making that game so that to keep Dragon Quest alive outside of Japan.
And it doesn't seem like they're going to be random battles or turn-based battle system. It looks more like they're going to do some sort of action element.
Right, Dragon Quest X style, that kind of cheap-looking MMO. But, like, maybe I'll grow to love it.
Also, I mean, going further back a little bit...
oh, yeah, game news since last time.
Yeah, so, like, PSX happened, and the Game Awards.
Sony's PlayStation Experience fan thing?
Well, it's not like fan-made.
Convention.
It's like a convention for the fans.
Yeah, convention for fans.
That happened, and then also the Game Awards, which we mentioned briefly before. So at the Game Awards, I think our biggest takeaway was just a new Death Stranding trailer. So like a second trailer running on the Decima engine, which is the Guerrilla Games engine.
Yeah, the game or the engine that Horizon Zero Dawn is being built on,
and also Killzone.
And Until Dawn.
Really?
Yeah, Until Dawn was using the Decima engine from Guerrilla. You didn't know that?
You said that, but I didn't believe
No, that's absolutely true.
All right.
That's
corrections.
No, I'm for sure.
All right.
That's the...
Please leave a comment and let Joe know that actually that is not true.
No, it's super true.
Right.
But like anyway, it's an impressive piece of tech. And it's super cool that that's what Kojima's using.
Yeah, and the really interesting thing actually was that Guerrilla described Kojima Productions as a satellite studio of Guerrilla.
Yes.
So, like, Kojima's working for Sony.
And this is also something I'm going to pull out of my ass. In my Joe speculates about things I have no way of knowing. But... like, it doesn't seem like Kojima Productions has staffed up sufficiently to be making a big AAA action game. It seems like it's pretty much a skeleton crew of top tier, upper level designers.
Yoji Shinkawa, who does not get enough love.
Yeah, that guy's great. But Jacob and I had, or maybe just me, had speculated, and you had nodded silently.
As I tend to do.
That they would need a big established studio to do the heavy lifting to make their game possible. And it seems like this is confirmation that Guerrilla Games' next project is Death Stranding, and they will be working under Hideo Kojima and his team.
No, I don't want to say under, because how the phrasing seemed more like Kojima's working under Guerrilla.
Well, like, he's a satellite studio, but like, but the thing is that, like, he's not getting coffee for the guys at Guerrilla. Like, they are doing his bidding, it seems like.
I don't know. That's just a perception.
That is, and this is like, as NeoGaf would say, tales from my ass. This is
How many times have you said that?
Tales from my ass out loud just then.
Yeah, well, we'll see, I guess. That game's still 2018, probably 2019, maybe.
Yeah.
And then the new trailer, Guillermo del Toro, which I guess that model Kojima said would be in the game.
But yeah,
but not
Del Toro isn't playing himself.
It's just the model. And then Mads Mikkelsen.
Yeah, it continues to look really intriguing, but I have no idea what the hell it is.
Um, well, I was kind of thinking that. Yeah, I don't want to get into that. Whatever.
Yeah, I mean, he's said in interviews that it's a third-person shooter,
Action game.
a third-person action game in an open world.
He says he picked the Desma engine because he liked that it would be useful for an open world.
Okay, so
And then also something about a rope and a stick. So
yeah, that could mean anything.
so then at PSX, it started off with Uncharted Legacy, and that is a DLC standalone spin-off thing of Uncharted starring Chloe from Uncharted 2 and 3 and Nadine from Uncharted 4.
Yeah, the really evil lady from Uncharted 4.
She's not evil.
She's pretty evil. She runs
No.
like a mercenary group. She wouldn't hesitate to kill somebody for money. That's pretty shady.
No,
She's female Lazarevich.
No, she's not. Shame. Anyway.
Jeff.
Yeah, no, but Uncharted Legacy, I really liked how they set that up. It was the first thing they showed at PSX, and just the build-up, I don't think you could really pull that off. So just not unveiling who the main character is until the very end. Everybody's on the edge of their seats, sort of trying to speculate, what is this?
Okay, yeah, the conference starts. The screen goes up, and a woman in a slum in India. Mm-hmm. It seems like this is a very war-torn area, and she's kind of threading her way through these narrow streets. It's like, okay, who is this? Who is this character? Who is making this game? There's a lot of questions, but the Jacob and I noticed immediately with some tech stuff and how the game is made, we're thinking instantly Naughty Dog.
Well, really the giveaway was seeing a red door with a light pointing on it.
Oh yeah, so yeah, they're the way that they do their art, they lead a player through an environment. Lots of red doors, lots of lights.
Lots of yellow rails and...
Yeah, we've seen this for, almost a decade.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, it's Naughty Dog, but what is this? Is this The Last of Us 2? Is this...
Which would be crazy.
Yeah, it's like, is this The Last of Us takes place in India? Is it, is it the Uncharted DLC? Is it a new intellectual property? Lots of thinking, lots of... It looks gorgeous.
Yeah, and then it turned out that it was Uncharted Legacy. Spin-off DLC.
I think it's a better way to do it instead of it being Nate again.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think anybody thought it was going to be Nathan Drake. I think people thought, it would be Sam, or it'd be Cassie, or it'd be...
Right, and that's what I had hoped. Like, I kind of think that was still the best possible scenario.
Because Joe and I, we like Chloe and we like Nadine, but, like, we're not super attached to those characters. That's not, for us, I mean, it was, oh, that's cool, but... it's not some sort of jaw-dropping moment, the best partnership ever taking place right now, It's just
I have no doubt it'll be good.
Yeah, I'll play it.
But in my mind, just a, like, straight-up puzzle platformer starring Cassie was, I thought, the best way to...
How could you shoot dudes?
Well, that's where I'm coming from. Whatever scenario where you don't shoot dudes in an Uncharted game is my favorite way to do that.
So then, other takeaways from PSX was there's a new Ni no Kuni 2 trailer.
Oh yeah.
And at first that was really kind of off-putting to us. It's just some of the visual things at first we kind of were a little bit down on, and then the open world that they showed off with
the world map.
World map.
Don't know if it's open world. Probably
not open world map. And seeing that your characters on the world map are
chibis.
Yeah, chibis.
That's like a stylistic decision that Studio Ghibli wouldn't have made. But I think because the game was pre-production was going on well in that half a year period where Studio Ghibli was shut down, and then before it was when it was shut down and then resurrected, that whoever the art director who was from Ghibli who works on Ni no Kuni, it's like, well, Hayao Miyazaki wouldn't have given his okay for chibis. We're doing chibis.
Mm-hmm. And then too, I was really initially disappointed by the protagonist, the main protagonist, controllable protagonist, being the little boy with the red cape.
And the cat ears.
Yeah, and because Joe and I had kind of spun up our own narrative
from the original trailer.
Yeah, from the original trailer of the main protagonist being the black-haired guy with the ponytail, basing it off of Ni no Kuni 1, where you have the main protagonist who he lives in like 1950s America, who a family member dies and he goes into Ni no Kuni, the world of Ni no Kuni, to cope with his depression.
And like Ni no Kuni being, and the first game alludes to Ni no Kuni being insanity. Like it's
Silent Hill.
You had a mental break, and this is the fantasy realm that helps you get over your own personal tragedy. And Jacob and I saw this guy. He was wearing a business suit. He didn't fit. It's like, okay, why is this guy here? We bet this is the main guy. This is the guy. Like his younger brother has died. His son has died. Something, and he must look after this young prince who has been orphaned.
Who sort of becomes his surrogate little brother, son kind of figure.
And like, man, it's like, I was so in love with that idea, but obviously that's not what it is.
And that's disappointing to me. But I mean, that was just our own little spun up narrative. I mean, every game could be disappointing if you do that.
Yeah, and I like doing that, but it's I'll still give it a shot. I'm still very looking forward to it.
Joe and I are already spinning up, just from that second trailer though, a new little narrative where Joe goes to me and he calls me and he says, dude, I think that Ni no Kuni 2 is going to be like a Suikoden game. Okay. Where you're recruiting a bunch of people for your castle and your base.
Okay, if you watch that second trailer, they give a lot of lip service to building up a country from the ground up, and there's like people from all walks of life, and it's like, and the thing is, I'm sure it's not, but it could be, and that would be so amazing if it were the secret Suikoden game that we never got.
Wait for trailer 3 to crush that.
Oh, I have no doubt that it will.
And then probably the last sort of big takeaway was probably the biggest thing of the show was Knack 2. The knackening.
I don't. Neither of us played the original Knack.
No, so I'm not offended by Knack 2's existence. I think it's just kind of a funny little, like, oh, that's interesting.
But I'd had a conversation with somebody who was sort of, it's like, wait, why Knack 2 and not the Order 1887? It's like, wait, why is Sony not funding this thing that at least some people like? Whereas generally Knack is
it's a joke. It's a meme.
It's a pan across the board. It's like, why does Knack get a sequel, not the Order? Because the Order was a crazy expensive game that didn't make back its money, and Knack was a super cheaply made game that made back its money many times over. Mm-hmm. And Mark Cerny
Cerny getting his greasy little fingers and everything.
That guy has a lot of cachet at that company. He could probably do whatever the hell he wants.
Mm-hmm. True.
Yeah.
Because he's got those greasy little fingers. Go look up Mark Cerny.
That guy's great.
There was an absence of a game that was kind of disappointing. There was no Final Fantasy VII remake, so we haven't seen anything of that since last PSX.
So yeah, it's been a full year.
Yeah, and maybe I think Square Enix is maybe gearing up for 2017 to celebrate not only the 30th anniversary of Final Fantasy, but the 20th anniversary of Final Fantasy VII. Maybe they're going to have some sort of Final Fantasy VII event, kind of like how they had the 15 event.
Would not be surprised. Mm-hmm. Maybe this is just mental gymnastics, so I can convince myself that this game is coming out in my lifetime. But like that CyberConnect 2, which is an independent developer, that they're the hired gun making the Final Fantasy VII remake, they have a history of releasing projects and not like letting them writhe in turmoil for years, because they have to release things to stay afloat. So in my mind, I'm like, man, this game's coming out because CyberConnect 2, they have to release it or they sink.
Well, and then I mean too, just with the structure that they're going to be doing it of episodes in quotes, of breaking the 7 up into a bunch of different games. I would be hopeful that they could, create a 20-hour, 30-hour kind of Midgar game and release that. And I mean, it will have been 2 years kind of deal to have been working on something like that. So
Right.
we're going to move on to our next segment because that was about all the game news that we care about. There's probably other stuff, but that's either missed our radar or we just don't.
Or we've completely forgotten.
But we want to talk about, it's the end of the year, end of 2016. Everybody knows that. And we wanted to talk about some highlights of the year. And, we talked about doing something like a Game of the Year thing, but we just feel there's so many great moments of the year that it seems so unfair to compare something like Dragon Quest Builders to Final Fantasy 15 to an Uncharted 4. There's just so many great things to talk about, and we want to appreciate them all.
And we don't play enough games to have the whole gamut of the entire industry.
So we kind of wanted to go through the year a little bit and just mention some highlights and maybe a few disappointments along the way. And Joe, did you want to start us off with one of your favorite games of the year, actually?
Yeah, like
often forgotten.
Very forgotten. And I think I've talked about it almost every podcast for some reason. But was it January or February? February. Firewatch as a spiritual successor to Gone Home. And
well, it's a different team.
It's a different team, but like they're taking that idea.
No, that's not a spiritual successor. That's their take on that kind of game.
They're like friends with the people.
No, it's not. You want to say like, oh, Dragon Quest 11 is the spirit, or okay, no, you want to say like Final Fantasy 1 is the spiritual successor to Dragon Quest 2.
No, but you could do spiritual successors without having any like creative.
No, that's just the wrong term.
No, I think you.
That's just the wrong term.
Anyway, Firewatch, it reminds me a lot of Gone Home, but like bigger. And I was very fond of Gone Home, and I'm maybe more fond of Firewatch.
It's got great voice acting.
Great voice acting. I love the world. I love existing in that world. Just a ton of fun.
And the main protagonist is Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah. You only see his hand, but it's fucking Wreck-It Ralph.
He looks in a mirror and it's
yeah.
Yeah, just Wreck-It Ralph.
Yeah, very, very positive. I have nothing negative to say about it. Some people don't like how it ends, but that adds to its charm, the way it does end.
So then another game that, kind of a highlight, I guess, more so a disappointment for me, was Ratchet & Clank, the PlayStation 4 Ratchet & Clank remake. To me, it was visually very impressive, but ultimately it was so scaled back from the future trilogy, especially scaled back in storytelling and mechanics and scope. There was no volumetric water, some of like those things that I really like in Ratchet.
And that's like a real shame because Insomniac has the best water tech in the biz. Mm-hmm. And in their like games from the previous generation, their water tech was in full effect.
Mm-hmm.
And you jump a generation and it's gone. Mm-hmm. And that's too bad. And like just another thing you were saying, like how scaled back the story was. The game was leaning way too heavy on that kids movie that had come out simultaneously.
Mm-hmm.
It's like, go watch the kids movie, and if your kids want more of this, come play the game. And you felt like you were being shortchanged just playing the game.
Well, and then just from the storytelling standpoint, I mean, Ratchet and Clank were barely even characters in this game. Ratchet was starry-eyed, naive, blank slate, and Clank, I can't remember a single moment where Clank stood out in that entire game.
Right, and the thing is it was never established their connection, why they would care about each other, because they didn't. The story didn't give a reason.
Well, because Ratchet was naive, blank slate, and he's like, he'll glom on anything.
It did have some good character moments with Captain Quark, I thought, because he had like a really interesting arc. Because in the original game he was a villain, and this sort of gives him some.
I hated the
motivations.
I hated the Captain Quark stuff in that reboot.
Really?
Yeah, I hate that he's the narrator. I hate that he's narrating over everything you do.
Okay, I agree. That's annoying. But I thought he, like, in the original game there wasn't a character arc. This guy was just a villain pretending to be a good guy. Whereas this, he's a good guy who has slipped and is doing questionable things.
Mm-hmm. Well, but this is something.
That's why everybody goes to their action platformers for their really in-depth storytelling.
Well, they don't have to have a great story, but every game benefits from a good story.
And those future trilogy games were really doing it well.
Yes, they were. And then I think this is something to be said too, a little bit about the quality of it. Every mainline Ratchet game that has trophies, I have platinumed, with the exception of this one. I had no motivation to keep playing this one after I beat it the first time.
Yeah, I had neither.
Every game in the HD collection, Crack in Time, Into the Nexus.
Yeah.
Not this one.
There's just not enough to like grab onto to care enough. But I think it was a highlight for the year.
Now, did Dark Souls 3 come out the very same day as Ratchet, or was it like within a week?
Maybe it was the same day.
Well, either way, it doesn't really matter. That came out right at the same time as a good balance to Ratchet, as sort of your
no, it was the same day. I do remember it was the same day. Yeah,
it was kind of, you're going and it's a stressful game, and Ratchet was to relieve that stress. And with Ratchet at $40, Dark Souls at $60, bang.
Yeah, under 100. Yeah,
$100.
Yeah.
So that was a good combo game. But Dark Souls 3, Joe, do you want to say anything about Dark Souls 3?
I still like Ratchet. It's a highlight with a caveat that it's not nearly as good as.
Wait, you said Ratchet.
Like Ratchet, like Dark Souls 3, like the Ratchet reboot, was, this is really solid, and it's built on things that I really like, but it's just, instead of being the next evolution or like doing something interesting or doing it better than any other game in the series, it was just sort of treading water, and not even treading water especially well.
Mm-hmm.
But it was still solid. I don't regret playing through Dark Souls 3.
Dark Souls 3 was one of those games, at the time, while I was playing it, I thought, this is alright. But the more distance I have away from it, the more I just feel frustrated by it, and I just think, I really don't like Dark Souls 3. I'm not a big... I've played every Souls game, beat Dark Souls 1, beat Dark Souls 2, beat Bloodborne, played Demon Souls. But, Dark Souls 3 just feels so uninspired to me.
Yeah, it feels like they were hired by the publisher to make another one of those games, and they just made another one of those games.
It kind of felt like, narratively too, it was all just kind of patched together, and it was, I think, probably a better game than Dark Souls 2, just thematically and just kind of going through it, but
it was more consistent than Dark Souls 2.
Yeah,
but like way less consistent than any other Hidetaka Miyazaki directed game.
You know, kind of like Ratchet, where when I beat it, I had no desire to go back to it. With Dark Souls 3, when I beat it, I had no desire to understand any of the lore. I had no desire to go and look at YouTube videos of Adi Vidya doing Dark Souls 3 lore analysis, where every other Dark Souls, bam, I'm going to YouTube, gotta find out some more lore.
Have to. Like, yeah, going through Bloodborne, man, I had to know. Anytime there's a theory, I had to see what was, just trying to get my mind around it. I agree. I don't care about the world of Dark Souls 3. And it seems to cheapen other Dark Souls games by trying to tie itself to still a highlight, I think.
Like, so what else came out?
Oh, yeah. I had downloaded and played Blood and Wine, the last expansion for The Witcher 3.
Which I have not played.
Yeah, man, I really liked it a whole bunch.
I played The Witcher 3, I didn't play Blood and Wine.
Yeah, but Blood and Wine, Witcher 3 is so grim and dark and like it's really oppressive, and Geralt being this like untouchable cast. Like being a Witcher, you're like this subhuman that everybody spits on. Is they need you to take care of things, but they don't like you and they don't want you around when you're not necessary. And you kind of feel that, and like you feel like isolated, and it's a cool feeling. You feel invested in that character. But Blood and Wine, you take Geralt out of that very specific, very grim environment, and you put him in essentially this Mediterranean paradise, and you make him a knight with his own lands, and if people respect him, and he wears fancy clothes, and he attends jousting tourneys, and he's like, and it's like you feel so light and airy, and it feels like, okay, this is what Geralt deserves. The universe has like righted this wrong. It's Geralt is this great guy, and things are finally turning around for him, and Blood and Wine is just that. And it's like narratively, I don't know if it makes a whole lot of sense, but it just feels good. Like, okay, I'm leaving all of this behind, and I'm retiring to Italy to make grapes, and to make wine, and
and blood,
and fuck you all. I'm through.
Oh.
It was great. I'm very pleased. Little nitpicky things, but loved it overall.
And then I can't remember when, but Uncharted 4 came out pretty early in the year too, and that game, oddly, maybe it's just games coming out at the beginning of the year, and over time I just become really pessimistic. But Uncharted 4 was a game I really, really loved right after I beat it, and as more time goes on, I think less about it. Although I still really, really like Uncharted 4, particularly some of like the graphics. Obviously, one thing.
Best graphics ever.
And the Carriage Play Best Graphics Award goes to the nominees. But just key moments and key characters. Sam, how well Sam was introduced to the series and integrated, and how his presence added more weight to the previous games.
Right, and that's the thing. What I was worried about beforehand, that they were shoehorning this character in. It's going to feel unnatural. It's not going to make any sense. But like, they made it happen, and it was great. And Sam, like, he's a much a part of that universe as any of those major characters.
And too, I think probably my favorite part of the whole game, the epilogue, which we won't spoil because everybody should go and play that game.
Yeah, that's my favorite part.
Yeah, make it to the epilogue.
But I will have to say that I was very frustrated in extended shooting segments.
Yes.
And I think Eurogamer had done an article calling Uncharted 4 a walking simulator, like a Gone Home style game. It's like, I wish it was more
Me
of
too.
a walking simulator.
The walking
because,
simulators were parts of Uncharted 4 were my favorite parts.
yeah, and I just give me more climbing, give me more puzzles,
Give me more rope. Give me more
yeah,
picking around.
Yeah, just things to do that aren't shooting dudes and dudes that can take multiple grenades to the face. That's okay. That's not fun. It's immersive. It's immersion breaking. It doesn't fit where the series is now. It just feels, and we've had 10 years of nonstop cover shooters. I'm so sick of cover shooters.
Me too. But, from a storytelling perspective, Uncharted 4 has so much restraint.
Yeah.
And I really, really appreciate that.
They could have gone in some. I think a lesser writing team would have chose to go in a more obvious, more melodramatic.
Like Sam Drake would have been an evil character who was just really gritty and needlessly being aggressive.
Okay, Jacob here is critiquing a game that never came out and never will come out, and he doesn't know the details of. I'm just saying.
Yeah. I can't even remember that trailer, what he says, but...
Yeah.
So then, let's see, what else? Star Ocean 5.
Wait. Oh, yeah, that's right. Yeah, Star Ocean 5.
We have a list here of stuff going on.
Yeah, our notes are all over the place.
But yeah, Star Ocean 5, not a particularly good game.
No.
But I think...
it portends Square Enix resurrecting smaller properties.
It makes me hopeful for Square Enix. Star Ocean 5, Star Ocean isn't a series I particularly like. But
and I think it's only okay. Like, I played them back in the day, and I think they were always just okay.
So, but I think Star Ocean 5, the highlight is that Square Enix is back, baby. They're going to be funding some more things like this, probably.
Hopefully.
But when they see that Star Ocean 5 didn't meet 3 million sales like they wanted or something stupid, they're going to go, I guess people don't want these kinds of games.
No, it's the thing is Square Enix doesn't seem like in the 6 months or whatever since Star Ocean 5, they don't seem like they're dialing back. They seem like they're still gearing up.
Very hopeful for Square Enix.
Yeah. I think that's the positive about Star Ocean 5.
You can feel that change in command there. You can feel...
when Yoichi Wada
Yeah.
had resigned. Or been forced to resign.
The former president of Square Enix.
Yeah. Square Enix has dozens of really interesting properties that they haven't touched in a very long time.
Xenogears. Chrono.
Wow, I'm completely drawing a blank.
Mana?
The Ogre Battle. Yeah, the Mana series. Or that's the second Intense.
Yeah, you can go do your own research. Find out what else Square Enix has done.
A new Saga had come out in Vita in Japan. Like a new proper Saga game.
Wow. My favorite series. After that, another Square Enix game, Dragon Quest VII on the 3DS. The remake, which came out, 3 years ago in Japan, and finally got translated and moved to the US. And I still haven't beat it yet. I've been putting in... Well, Will I's at school. School's out now, but Monday, Wednesday, Friday, I had a hour break, and I go to the library and play Dragon Quest for an hour. But yeah, so I'm like 50 hours in. I'm really liking it. There's not a lot of complaints that I have with it, other than I don't like the translation in parts. I don't like the overly accented lines, and I don't like some of the name changes, like changing Gabbo's name to Ruff. That's really dumb. Some of the things just, they cheapen the story, they cheapen the game. But overall, I mean, still a great game.
And I haven't played it at all, but I hope to soon. The original Dragon Warrior 7 on PlayStation 1, one of my very favorite games of all time. And if this remake is half as good, it would be probably my favorite game of the year. Just being like a half decent remake of one of my favorite things ever.
Well, and to, I think when I'm playing it now, this is, I've never actually beat any version of Dragon Quest 7. I've made it pretty far in the PS1 version, but I feel like when I'm playing it now, which would be like the third time maybe, or fourth time, I'm appreciating the story more. I'm appreciating what it does, some of the choices it makes. So I think that's one of those games that maybe not everybody will like at first, but if you keep coming back to it over the years, and I think eventually it'll kind of grab you and you'll start to really get what it's doing.
Right. And when Jacob says he's put 50 hours in, he's not almost finished.
No.
He's halfway through.
Yeah.
The game is absolutely enormous.
Mm-hmm. So next on our list was No Man's Sky, which I don't want to just diss No Man's Sky a bunch. I think that No Man's Sky was really, really ambitious. I think its biggest flaw was not embracing craziness and glitchiness, and I think they wanted to create too grounded of a sci-fi universe.
Right. I think that the promise of the game, outside of the things that they promised that weren't in the game, which is whatever, like things I don't care. But don't promise things that aren't in your game, but like they weren't things that I was necessarily really attached to. But the promise of the concept is that you go to a planet and you have no idea what to expect. But how they built their algorithms that built the planets, that you always knew what to expect. Everything conformed to evenly across the board, and you were never, ever, ever surprised.
And I suppose what I mean by craziness and glitchiness is I wanted to arrive on a planet that just spun around really, really fast. Day and night was 5 seconds each. Or that the animals were just flying around randomly. Or there's a giant pit through the planet and the planet would, just like going nuts,
Just crank those sliders up on the algorithm to max constantly, and maybe sometimes it'll break the game, but that is a worthwhile trade-off.
And I think that would have been really successful for YouTubers as well with, they upload their crazy glitch thing that happened in No Man's Sky and it gets 3 million views because it's so stupid and weird, kind of going towards that YouTube culture of things like Gary's Mod or things that are just, oh man, that's just crazy.
Can you imagine a Gary's Mod that was just like sad and scaled back and it all worked perfectly? But
it was all just really grounded. It's
like, oh, it's so sad.
Well, but to be fair, I don't like any Gary's Mod thing, so it's like whatever.
I like it in concept.
So let's see, what's next on our list? 9 is Dragon Quest Builders.
Yeah, very, very impressed by Dragon Quest Builders. I think not only was it better than I thought it would be, it was as good. I think there are little things they could add in a sequel, but that's as good as it could be. Just they were firing on all cylinders. That game is excellent, in my mind.
I mean, to me, I like it as well as any mainline Dragon Quest I've played and beat.
Oh, wow. Yeah, because I think it has the vibe. The proper, the Dragon Quest has that vibe that the spin-off games almost never capture. Mm-hmm. If it's Rocket Slime or
if it's Monsters or
Dragon Quest Heroes or Dragon Quest Monsters, they never get the vibe of a proper Dragon Quest game. Dragon Quest Builders has the vibe, and it's so well built and conceived, and they don't go for like cheap cameos. Like
Oh, yeah.
they aren't drawing in all your favorite characters.
Restraint. We're talking about restraint right
Yes.
there. No Tulun.
Yeah, no, like the thing is, I love Tulun, but like I'm so impressed that
No Jessica.
they had the initial concept is that this takes place in the original trilogy, and they stick to it, and they don't, and it is canon to that original trilogy. They didn't.
And emotional.
Yes, yeah,
Oh, dude.
and so well built, and the mechanics are great, and
Sad.
yeah, and and like it had like a really clean, very easy to understand aesthetic. I just really really impressed. I at some point when game releases like die down, I want to give back to Dragon Quest Builders.
Me too. So then let's see here.
That's 9-10.
Yes. So World of Final Fantasy. World of Final Fantasy.
We were talking about this before we were recording. That game was much better than I expected, but not nearly as good as it probably could or should have been.
Not should. I would say could. I think it was everything it should have been.
But
It wasn't everything it could have been.
But like the thing is like, okay, so it's way better than I expected, and it's so good that like if some of these parts were rearranged, if they'd taken more influence from older Final Fantasies
In terms of structure.
and mechanics to make it like a traditional Final Fantasy game pre-10. If they'd made it like that, I think it would have been much more endearing. But what you got was a very linear Final Fantasy X / Final Fantasy 13 style game with Kingdom Hearts characters.
Mm-hmm.
Like it's a Kingdom Hearts story where you walk to the end. But like I still really loved it, and I actually really like those characters and how fun that was.
Mm-hmm.
And like they got a lot of the nostalgia right, despite like leaning on the nostalgia of characters that don't like the and this is my pet peeve because I've been around the series since the very beginning. There is no Warrior of Light. The Warrior of Light is not a character from a Final Fantasy game, but kids who started after one, it's like, oh yeah, the Warrior of Light, that's a character, right? No, that's not a character. That's but like that's part of the nostalgia now. It's weird.
Well, I think that you pulled off everything it needed to do when I'm playing it, and what I'm thinking is, man, I want to replay Final Fantasy VI. I want to replay Final Fantasy VII. I want to replay Final Fantasy VIII.
Yeah, I was thinking
and that's
the same
all
thing.
you really need from that kind of game.
Yeah, I mean, yeah, it was quite good. I was impressed. Yeah.
Sticking with Final Fantasy.
Oh yeah. We'd been both playing Final Fantasy 15.
Don't just say that so mellow.
Blah, blah, blah,
Don't just say that so bland. That's a big deal. Final Fantasy 15.
It is a big deal. Neither of us are finished. Jacob's farther along
In the story.
I've been kicking around that first area for 60
Well, when you say
hours.
first area, it just means the first continent.
The first continent. I'm having a blast just kicking around, just existing, going camping, staying at hotels, road tripping around, going on these crazy monster hunts, fishing.
Not saving any pictures for some reason that Prompto takes.
If I want to see that stuff again, I'll just play the game again.
Never.
I'm having a blast, just kicking. Like, it is so fun just existing in that world, and I don't know how I will feel about the entire package when I'm finished, but already I am so impressed. It's great, and I think it's not getting the love it deserves.
Well, I mean, it's like we've talked about in just Joe and I. It's kind of like a Final Fantasy 12 reception where
Yes.
there's a lot of hate A lot of people hate this game.
Yeah, it's there's a lot of people who are very positive, but it's getting a lot of hate, and I think time will be on our side here. That when the hate dies down, people will be, oh, okay, yeah, that is pretty good. Like how most people have come around on 12.
I think the things there's flaws, there's problems. Like some mechanical things are weird, some visual things are weird. I think maybe what some people are disappointed by is it's got that jank. It's got that RPG jank in some of the set pieces, kind of similar to...
It's got open world jank.
Open world jank, but what I mean is it feels kind of... Some of the set pieces feel like Mass Effect 3 set pieces. Oof. Or, you know, Witcher 3, the final battle set piece kind of thing, where it feels... It's weird and it feels kind of out of place.
Yeah, they're not Naughty Dog.
But, you know, there's a couple things, too, with the sound direction. I mean, some of the voice acting's weird, but also some of the just... I like the music, but some of the set pieces fall really, really flat when there's not good sound effects. There's not lots of booming and crashing. It's just kind of mellow. Just kind of... There's even a set piece in my game, and maybe it was a glitch, where there was no sound. There was like just footsteps. And I'm thinking, this should be banging right now.
Right. I have come across a number of glitches, mostly my party members disappearing.
That's never happened to me.
Last night, Ignis was completely invisible for like hours. He was there technically. I don't think he was attacking any enemies, but you can see his flashlight floating in the air.
Here's an example of what I mean by the sound. Think about Final Fantasy 12 when you go to the bazaar. Now, Final Fantasy 12 clearly isn't technically as impressive.
Yeah, PlayStation 2 game.
As the bazaar in Final Fantasy 15 in that one Spanish-style town. Lestalem?
Yes.
So comparing the bazaars between Lestalem's bazaar in 15 and the bazaar in Rabanastre in 12, the bazaar in Rabanastre feels like a place that's electric with pans banging and music and people talking and yelling and screaming, and you go to that bazaar in Lestalem in 15 and
it feels sterile, like you don't hear anybody chit-chatting. It is weird. I mean, I still like that town and the thing, but like compared to a PlayStation 2 game, it's not executing as well. But I mean, you could also say that about...
I was just going to say Final Fantasy 12, though, to be fair, is perfect execution in so many areas that...
Yeah.
And 15 is an open world game with open world jank with, you know, all sorts of stuff.
But yeah, it's like the voice acting, how scenes are shot in 12, it's perfect. Like perfect. And 15 just is janky and weird, but like I still love it.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, me too.
But maybe like I will have a different like maybe it leaves a really bad taste in your mouth when you finish.
I haven't had any bad tastes in my mouth, and I've heard a lot of hate for Chapter 13. I just finished Chapter 13. I liked it. I don't know. I liked it. But there was nothing off-putting about it to me. I mean,
yeah.
Whatever.
But I think people want something to hate.
Yeah, you should wait and play Chapter 13 to see for yourself, but yeah, to me...
I just want to make an ass of myself.
Yeah.
To where next time I come back, it's, God damn it, Chapter 13, it ruined everything.
I would say that Chapter 13, I heard a lot of not going...
He does... Okay, to be fair, he does that when he's filling up the gas tank. Like, I've never heard so much grunting of somebody filling up gas.
Yeah, imagine seeing the, like, behind the scenes was the voice actors doing all that.
Wait, are you sure? Wait, what is he doing? He's being tortured, right? No, he's just filling up the gas.
So then I guess probably our last big game of the year, which was The Last Guardian.
Yes.
Whoa.
Oh, also we didn't talk about The Last of Us 2 from
Oh yeah, yeah. No, so at PSX, The Last of Us Part 2.
What reminded me was The Last, and it's like, oh my god, we didn't talk about The Last of Us.
Yeah. That's funny because I ended our PSX talk with saying the biggest announcement from it was Knack 2, and then we moved on. People thought we were serious. The biggest announcement of the PSX.
Okay, yeah, here it comes. Wait, what? Okay, yeah. Last of Us 2.
No, Last of Us Part 2.
Last of Us Part 2 looked cool. I didn't want there to be another game, but if they're gonna do it, it looks like they're doing it well. Do you have anything to add?
No, just like another. It was a great trailer though. Just played with expectations. Played with. Just it was so fun to be watching that live and see the parts in the trailer and hear the crowd go nuts. You know, when the Firefly logo pops up, when you see Ellie starts singing and you know that that's Ellie. When you see Joel for the first time and then you hear Joel talk, it just every moment felt. Yeah. There's so many great moments in that trailer.
Yeah, for something that's really low key. Yeah, I'm excited. Okay, back to our final highlight of the year, The Last Guardian.
Part 2.
Part 2.
Imagine that trailer.
I think, speaking for both of us, I am very impressed. Although, to be fair, Jacob and I haven't actually... We've both finished the game, but we haven't actually talked about it together in the same room.
No. So, to sort of... We don't want to spoil anything on this podcast. This is for everybody, you know. No spoilers. But we're going to record after this a spoiler cast of us just discussing... The Last Guardian in its full. So if you would be interested in hearing that.
Unscripted, this will be us just talking about the game. But
so really don't listen to that unless you have played The Last Guardian.
Oh, yes.
We are not worth it.
But it does come highly recommended from me specifically. And Jacob?
The game itself, not our spoiler cast.
Oh, yeah.
The spoiler cast is not highly recommended.
Oh, no.
It's going to be rough.
I mean...
but the game itself...
No, it will be pristine. For the first time ever.
Mm-hmm. Probably... We're not going to film it. Oh, no. I was going to say a joke about something, but it's not worth it. Anyway.
I have no idea what... Okay, never mind.
Yeah, but The Last Guardian, just quick snippets, sneak peek of our spoiler cast. I really liked it. At first, I wasn't... I liked it at first, but it wasn't until the very, very end that I loved it. So I can understand. I've seen a lot of comments on NeoGAF saying, yeah, I'm putting a couple hours into this game and I don't see what the big deal is. Keep playing. It's worth it. Yeah, the camera's weird.
Oh yeah, the some of the mechanic things are some of them are bad. And that's like from somebody who... Okay, I don't think it's as good as Shadow of the Colossus and Eco mechanically.
No.
But that doesn't diminish the game itself.
No.
But that being said, it should be better mechanically.
I think so, yeah.
But it didn't ruin it. Not for me. Not by a long shot.
If we want to move on, there's a list of games that we have that we didn't get to play this year that we wanted to.
I had really, and I've talked about this on the podcast before, I'd really wanted to play Abzu as a successor to Journey. And I love Journey. Jacob's kind of lukewarm on Journey and on Abzu, but like I want to play it so bad. I just need to carve out some time for it.
And then Inside by Playdead, I think, is the studio.
Yeah, creators of Limbo.
I really want to play that. That seems to me like the biggest missed game for me. I think it looks really cool, and from what I understand of the story, that's really emotionally impactful, and I'm really bummed out that I haven't played it yet, but I hope to play it soon.
Yeah, me too. Also, I Am Setsuna.
Yeah, that's probably my other big one that I wanted to play this year that I didn't. It just kind of came down to I bought Star Ocean 5 and I Am Setsuna was releasing around that time, and I was just kind of thinking, I just spent a lot of money on a lackluster RPG. I don't want to spend a lot of money on another one. I Am Setsuna is probably a better game.
It's also the one that I think has the potential to actually be disappointing on this list. This, like, of the list of games we have, are I Am Setsuna is divisive enough, and I know enough about the genre, is that if it's lacking certain aspects, even if it hits the checklist of everything you want from a role-playing game, if it doesn't execute on some subtle but important things, it could end up being disappointing. But I too am very looking forward to at some point playing it. Also, and this is the game on the list that I know the least about, but I wanted to not know things, but it's pretty universally acclaimed. It's a game called Virginia, where it's like a kooky FBI Twin Peaksy sort of adventure walking simulator, I guess. I've seen very little, and then I was like, okay, I want to see nothing else. I want to be completely surprised by this. And I've seen that it's reviewed very well. And it's something I want to jump into.
And then something that we mentioned previously on the podcast that Joe played, but I haven't played. I want to play Blood and Wine.
Yeah, I would recommend that. And the other expansion.
I've already played the other expansion, Hearts of Stone.
You did?
Yeah, I bought it.
Oh, that's right. And then, okay, right. Okay, yeah.
Yeah, I already played that.
Well, I don't think we've talked about that before after I finished
We did a little bit.
Okay, all right. And I, as said before, I really want to play Dragon Quest VII Remake. But I don't have a 3DS of my own, so I'm waiting for Jacob to finish.
Yeah, he's got to wait on me.
Yep. But, I mean, I'm not hurting for
Squirting.
Ew. Dude.
Like Squirt the pop. The drink.
It sounds obscene. I'm really... Yeah, I'm not hurting for games to play right now, but I really want to play. This is a remake of one of my favorite games of all time.
Dope. So, thank you for joining us, and if you played Last Guardian and beat it, check out the spoiler cast.
That we will be recording
shortly.
Very shortly. For us, shortly.
For you, I don't know.
Yeah, who knows? So, what do you want from us?
You want us to actually work on stuff? Please.
Yeah, come on.
We got 15 to play.
Exactly.
Anyway, so thanks for listening and making it all the way to the end.
And remember to stay spiffy. I'm gonna cry if none of that recorded.